Hajde, përshëndetje kede, jena këthy me lojën e radhës të BNS. Sot kena me lu kundër Ungentium. Kuft kismet për SL Liga, dhe më thonë është. Loja ka me sartu edhe 10 minuta. Pa mërmene që, jo pa mërmene, për nëra 7 kanë thonë. Në 7 do jetë. Bam, bam, ca. Hella karabi. Si për mene jam në këtë vëllim të spanore, se copyright që ke muzik. Hello, mos doktor, uniki, bloki, era, jetoni, Sagovan, Dërëgjet, Niga, Pablo, Batman, King Black, Korabi, Flatra, jetoni. Përshëndetje të gjithëve, mos harani me bë like edhe subscribe, edhe mos harani me klikun linkun në description, ose këtu në pin, ose në chat, si të dëshironi jo. E keni vetëm një link, me klikun një apot her i shkon mire. Na një mani, na supportani, na çmontani dhe na lexoni. A jeni gati sot me fitu lojen? Këta 3 minuta me vanes ka kam pejk. Kosovë, sa kemi luna e lojen ma si ta krym bëne. Alloj nuk e di s'ma mërmenja. Se është best of 3, kështë që 3 mapa 3 orë s'ka loja. Ka mundësi që jina PUBG, po I don't know. Ndoshta dhe s'ndoshta. Par muzikë. Pa e nërë që të muzikë zguzojnë a farë se copyright-i na qman tërë bo. I kuloti në mesnat dhe ti ike për të mos u kthyer po. Për të mos Hello Riadi. A kemi përgjigje në qatë pyetje. Për të mos u kthyer i kuloti në mesnat. Vetë se loja do të startoj nga minuti në minut. Bane kundër Ungentium. Kjo ekip është e Polonisë. Që duhet mi mujtë. Mos harani jo me bë like dhe subscribe. Sa më shumë like, sa më shumë subscribe. Hello Arbor. Dy me 0 kismet. Ajde, inshallah. Inshallah. Let's go banae. Forza. Vamos. To se pas kanal qëtë musik. Kur janë nis edhe 10 minuta, në ora 7 arrafsh, loja vetë fillon. Psheni këto orë ku e keni në 6:50. Kur të bëhet aty 7, 19, 00, ja fillon. Këta Ungentium ati këshu mujt një 4 herë, një herë në këshin mujt. Kështu që s'po anë menja që kanë mena mujt, ha? Shapo mena një. Gati, gati. Pas laga. Pas ka pas pak lag. Kemi pak lag. Po mirë abet. Nuk o mu anko. Po s'ka ma të for type. Mos harani jo me bë like edhe subscribe. Ti bojna 1800 suba na vina 3 suba gjithsej, kështu që mos e nani dorën xhamatin nderuar, bëjeni subscribe. Sepse loja do të startoj nga qasti në qast, nga minuti në minut, nga sekundi në sekund. Kështu që sa më shumë like edhe subscribe. Shonja një emër, bëne me zemër. Ha, që tash këta folin.
Wherever you are, and welcome to another season of ESL Challenger League, season 42 now. We have been going a long old time, and someone who's been here a very long old time is going to be joining me this evening. Very. How you doing today, mate?
Good, looking forward to getting to kick things off here, and I believe the first match
Një bonja 100 like për bënejni, shkon supera.
It went pretty interestingly. It was a fairly stacked
C'è
group, I've
Doni.
got to say, with the likes of well, one win and 4 is making it through, but the teams that didn't manage to make it were Nyan and Saw, which especially Saw is a team that I would have said I would like to see in those playoffs. They're still working with changes that they haven't really been able to, I would say, hit the level that they had a few seasons back, but they're still an impressive team, and to see them knocked out rather in last place over in Group A, it just shows you how stacked it is.
Yeah, and to be fair,
Që janë grupet, bënej është grupin B, në Ungentium, fan console,
you wouldn't really deny that positioning, right? It feels like those are two perfectly reasonable rosters. There's not much of an upset.
Kjo turnament tjetër,
Of
domethënë.
course, we're starting out on
Nuk
Group
është ai
B,
turnamenti që kena lu,
Ungentium, Falcons,
që kanë lu
and
adet.
Static, but as you rattle
Atet
down
janë
through those
kualifiku,
groups,
kanë me
again,
shku
you
në
know, the
Prag.
likes of Finest, Heat, Sinners,
Kjo
Blue
është
Jays
i
showing up in
SLS.
C, and then Entropic, after a little bit of disappointment of late, been a bit hot and cold with the new additions. AGO, Sprout, and K23 rounded out Group D. Once again, it feels like one of those incredibly stacked seasons that we get every now and again, where you've got a combination of teams dropping down from Pro League who are looking to make their way back up, then some really promising youngsters coming up through the system, and our regular contenders trying to fight through all of that once again.
Yeah, in terms of the groups, I'd say Group B that we have here might look to be perhaps one of the more evenly matched ones, at least one of the more unpredictable ones in terms of everyone's on a fairly similar level. Group D looks scary. I would hate to be down there at the end. I mean, all 4 of those names could very easily take the top of that group, and obviously only 2 of them are actually going to be able to move forward, so that'll be definitely interesting by the time we get there, but it'll be a little while, of course, until we actually get to Group D, with this being only the opening matchup here.
Yeah, we got a little while yet to go. Of course, I'm going to call it a new format. It's really not a new format anymore. We've been rocking it for a few seasons, but it splits things up nicely, right? You get your groups rattled out of the way fairly quickly. You're allowed to sort of split the best from the rest, and then you work your way through those playoffs. And well, the matchup that we're going to start splitting
Baanajetat me senere Johan Flatron Synovs Ungentium där det gonin. Ungentium gruppi mappi byali Sydney
a little bit of a
press.
known quantity, right? We've seen them play around, we've seen them making that run at the major, we know what they're about.
Alloi Kosovakin
At
nuk
least
e
to
di.
me, Dean, are
A
a
loso
very
bo
new
update
roster. I
stumble.
haven't really seen any of them
Për
yet.
që
I've seen some of the individual parts, but
Ella
neither
është
of
best
them
of
as a
3,
five-stack.
s'ma marrmenja që
And
më
they've
na
got
mi
some
du na
pretty
idoj
promising
tjetër.
results behind them.
Hello,
Yeah, I think they've been playing together for a little while at this point as well, as you said.
CSGO boss.
Results, I believe they've been doing pretty well. Managed to get their third place in the previous season of Advanced, obviously, which allowed them to move
Sarani
up
me
there
bo
and
like
just
a
generate
subscribe,
and grind
hare
out
ti
some of those
bojna
lower
një
tier
100
tournaments.
like që aty
And
edhe
that's what you need, because you've got
1800 suba na
a
vi
few
me qa
newcomers
3
in there. I
suba.
mean, as we said, there's always new players coming within that Polish scene. And then you've got the mix of experience behind it with Bayali there. You've got Matti, as I said, one of those newcomers who seems to
Kështu që
perform
shpërndajeni
well.
live, shpërndajeni
My only worry
live,
is I don't know if the
shpërndajeni
team really
live.
has enough firepower behind it to be able to crack through into the level that I think they really would be aiming for.
Okay. I can see where you're coming from. There certainly is. I mean, in terms of Polish teams with firepower, we've certainly had rosters with a little bit more, and we have got, I think, 3 Polish teams this time coming through, 9 already getting knocked out. We've got AGO down in Group D, so there's a solid Polish representation, and like you said, it does always feel like there's just this constant, essentially, conveyor belt of talent coming out of the Polish region, right? And they just build and build and build.
Edhe
B&E, on the other
3-4 minuta që tash ti zgjidh mapat.
well, we can jump straight into the vetoes with things here. Obviously, we were going to see perma.
E kanë zgjedh Ancientin, Inferno edhe Dedusti, Dusdyshi. GG. Ancient kena me pas pak problem, po nuk ka catch. Easy everything. Inferno edhe Dusdy, babat jemi.
And they've had some really good results lately.
Vetë s'ka fillu djem, mos u largoni pe live-it, bëjni like edhe subscribe, loja vetë s'ka fillu. Mapa të zgjedhen.
To avoid getting picked into it, but B&E
Easy
this time
peasy.
open it up.
Like
Then we
and
rattle through the
subscribe.
late stage stuff. Nuke goes, which again was a map that came up in previous matchups between these two sides, so they get that out of the way. Vertigo goes for the B&E boys, makes much sense. It's a map that they're a bit meh on, and Dust 2 as a decider. Well, it's a fantastic map for B&E to finish the series if we go there.
Yeah, it's a map that Ungentium seem to play a pretty decent amount of as well, though, so I feel like it would be a decent kind of middle ground for them to end things out on, but looking at the VO, I think it definitely looks
Dusdy edhe Inferno, edhe Mirage, jo, kësi Ancient. Ata e kanë zgjedh Ancientin, na e kena zgjedh Infernon, edhe Dusdyshi ka met.
A little bit of a scrappy one between the two of them, I'd imagine.
Na e kanë bo ban Mirage, e mutat e nënës.
I would have Bad News Eagles fairly favored, so unless we can maybe see some early upsets on Ancient, if we can see Ungentium taking that first map, then I feel like
Fitore, besaj dhe shpresaj.
Unfortunately, I've opened so many HLTV tabs now that they're denying me access.
Me në qmu, po, na
So
jena
I
të
can't
fort.
actually look at the specifics of some of these things I'm mentioning anymore.
Dean is now fully DDoSing HLTV to get his stats for this matchup. But yeah, I pretty much agree with where you're coming out from. You know, Inferno, very rarely played by Ungentium. It's a map they've sort of been transitioning into perma-banning for a little while now, and it's pretty commonly banned out by them. So that one feels like it should be a lock-in. The only maybe slight factor, again, is, you know, you talk about lack of demos, lack of VOD review, lack of footage, but the firepower that this B&E roster has should be more than comfortable at dealing with the lack of sort of the tactical nous of what's going on behind the scenes and working that out. So yeah, I think I'm with you pretty much straight through. It's got to be Ancient. If Ungentium want to take it to a 3-map series, it's got to be Ancient. Keep some momentum through that Inferno as well, and then, you know, Dust 2. It's a tough one for them to end up on, because again, when we talk about Dust 2, we talk about individual firepower, we talk about a single person making a massive difference, and B&E is a roster that is stacked with difference makers. And again, you look at that, you know, Ungentium lineup, you say, where is the difference maker here? Who is the man who's going to make the difference? But if we want to see if they can make a difference and really make an impact, or if B&E can clear this one out in their usual style, we of course have got to get through a break before we get to the game. So stick with us with a few minutes, folks, and we'll be back with B&E up against Ungentium.
Hade. En av dem som musiken att han är där. Precis ska reklam eller på starten Bad News Eagle kunder Ungentium. Na vy fitoria baba. Just sjush nej. Çdo lojë duhet na me fitu. Mos harroni të klikoni butonin subscribe edhe like. Edhe me lëshu zilen. Ora o boshtat, se do të mja nisash. Hare bosa edhe 2 soba i bojna 1800. Kështu që shpërndajeni live-in, kallzoni shokve shu që tezeve halla dajve. Thuj hajde nëse qëto o të lu bëna eja. Hare bëjeni like edhe subscribe. Ti arrim synimet për këtë live. 1800 soba edhe 100 like-a. Për bëna e do të me bo ju 100 për 1 milion. Po presa me sartu loja nga qasi në qas, ora veç o ka kalu 700. Po besoj që janë të hina në map. Lojtarët dhe të startojmë gjithë shka. Do më thonë mapa par ka me kanë në ancient. Që shumë mirë është. Se në mapën e par po jena në top form. është mirë me fitu mapën atyve, tani edhe të në fitujmë hala ma let. Mos me lanë deri në map 3. Bad News Eagle. Hala muzik. S'po gëzojna me lanë qëtë muzik se copyright e për na që më dhëna e na live-in tani. Kështu që loja do startoj tani. Mos keni me rak. Bad News Eagles versus Ungentium. Qa menani, a kena me fitu bindshëm 2-0. A dhe tjetë fitore. Se ti i ke për të mos u këthyr 2-0, sigur 2 mapat ka 16-0. Ina te lyp që 16-0 që sa. Që 16 që ina te lyp që sa. E meritoj. Me po një 16-0 në live. Që e kopi anis. As cient, mapa par. Halos. Dhe se ta nolin qëtë muzik. As cient, mapa par të ndëruar meq. Nuk i kena pun të mirë në cient, po nuk jena dhe keq. خلاص يابا صار اسمي لي تعرف ايش ما انت خلصون يعني كورس ما في تو جاش ما يتزار كور مستوي كور بس kan himmel lite hårt. Lite hårt igen foder. På det så kan jag kytcht musik. Bad news eagle. Nuk e besaj e sheh. Hajrë te këshyrën tash. Mos mushën që saj rralla herën tjetër. Dikur po, do të me fitu një 16 zershe. Një 16 që në kajmak me t'ja ullshu. Edhe ka startu loja të ndëruar meq. Bad News Eagles. Jena do me thonë cëtëja super o puna.
Interesting. Or Furry Fury, sorry.
I'm going to refuse to pronounce that.
Tak, qyrom. Rundi para të, për mrekullis sinopsi, për si nej me njëherë ka marrë një trejt. Klatra është këgjalla. Këta dhe se nejrë tani është shumë bot. Janë të montu bomën.
Into the 4-on-4 we had scenario already dinked down.
Genci atë. 4 vs 2, super jena. Are flatra, eliminohet flatra atë. Kapin joni bomën, GG. Rundi parë shkan për bënajet. Super puna, super. Shkojna për një 16, ha?
Fantastic, as you said.
I
from
love
GXX
Petro,
getting that
just
double
come.
kill. That's what really swung things back around in their favor. Otherwise, you would have had Ungentium rather having a bit of time to set themselves up on that after.
Hajde, babo, e kena njës shumë mirë të fitu rundin e parë.
Made things a ton easier.
O, janë të lu forcë, dhe me thonë Ungentium. Me ba me fitu edhe qëtron, na i thaj, 3-0 shkojmë tani.
Yet the buy, but he has 1850 there, so we could go for a rifle or you
Hajde,
might
ta
get a pistol
këshyro.
and some nades. No, he goes for the Galil as
E
well.
një të bëni mua mirë edhe këta që janë të
It's not too
komentu
bad. In terms of firepower, they're
në vi.
not quite equally matched, but the Galils definitely can put up a solid fight, and because Bad News
smoke
Eagles
midden,
rather
par
have gone
miraculo
fully
jate.
into these M4s, they have very little utility to actually run down time with. So after a few
Nuk kanë
seconds here,
hiç
we should have Ungentium having their opportunity to
utility.
start playing for some pigs.
Këta, veç një smoke e kanë. Palla na kena veç një bume. Na qujtëm qatë smoke për me ru midin. Mira Petr që të prit me fitu. Bënajet.
Might even need to use it to get out of these double doors, as for the moment they're hanging 4 people behind them. One Flatro is about to go peeking for this, and Groovy is watching the angle down low. Not to be finished off, but there's multiple bodies headed one Flatro's way.
Hare flatra, qëto flatra më në të mimit. Qaja Gence, hare Gence. Gence, super është. 4 vs 2, 4 vs 1, GG. 3-0. 3-0, baba.
Left up on his own will at least trade away, but he's
3-0.
down to 9 HP, and
Let's
Synopsy
go,
is
baby.
very quickly there to stabilize.
Tash ata kanë me lu.
And again,
Eko.
that's the problem, right? Lack of utility. They've really got nothing to do. As soon as they're charging through those double doors, it's clear sight lines, it's clear angles, and it's a clear plan from B&E to grab their second.
Just well handled in the fights, and it's ideal that they only lose the 2 players there as well.
Qështo kur luni fort kundër neve. Ja u futo.
And they do both go straight for rifled, so they're not really going to be aiming to build up any money here, which maybe could have, considering obviously they knew the full rifle would come out in the previous round, expecting an eco at this point. Anyway, how aggressive they're playing in the early stages here, show their presence, have the expectation of this level of aggression in the minds of Ungentium going into that next gun round, even if it's not exactly how they're going to play things out, because it can cause them to
Eko
be a
janë.
little bit more
Që
timid.
zvana me hup.
A little bit
Thjesht,
early
do të me
presence outside
prit.
B, and
Jena
they're just gonna
polica.
shift it back around. They
Puna
spotted this
mirë.
early A main aggression, so the hope is probably that Rigon is still aggressive, and that maybe they can try and steal away a weapon.
Po shkojnë
We
ka
know that's not
aja.
going to happen though. He's already fallen back, but he doesn't have assistance all that nearby. It's going to be a fairly long rotation.
kan
for him to
aldrig
get
gå
help, so
din
there's a good
natur.
chance of a bomb plant maybe.
Målet med att jag har fått
Eagles
ner
will play as
straight.
well. A couple of quick shots and this becomes very awkward. There is now at least GXX joining Raygon inside of the site. He's got one flashbang to work with, but they're playing for the picks here. Bialy gonna go for a
Chaya
look,
Gans.
find anything, but there's another Deagle
Vardon
behind
Genzi
him.
atı.
They can just
Rigoni
get it.
Genzi.
It's nasty. But for now, B&E surviving the storm.
Eliminat
Raygon will
Rigoni.
finally go
Na
down
kodra
with a
vasenja.
4-for-1.
Super
Feels
puna.
absolutely
Top
fine.
form Genzi. Genzi top form. 7 killa. Ela sin upp sig med killen i fundit. Dridza. Shoim adet på kan pletas. Citrod med många fito. Nej, kaffe okej. Shkojnë 5-0 tani.
It's not a bad look either. They've got a buy in the back pocket now.
No, it's keeping them secure for, of course, the opportunity coming into this first gun round to not have any weaker weapons. I mean, as you said, they kind of do get a bonus round out of it. I mean, it'd be a little bit weaker.
Mos harani me ball like edhe subscribe bosa. Harit I bojna 1800 suba edhe 100 lajka për bëna
This first gun round,
Nëse si bojna sen puna jon.
As we mentioned, Ancient really to kick off this series is almost a
Si ne I ka marr pak damage aty.
an early initial presence with that utility rather shown by
Shumë mirë ka gjumë Molotovin aty.
from mid.
A nuk kanë hi, nuk kanë hi. Jo ka bë boost. Po, të dera hala. Shumë mirë, do më thoni kena lënë për mas aty. Na të bë push. Nuk kena t'i lënë as me hi. Flatrat e në prisën po me njerë me të rejt aty. Ka me të vetëm se ne Genzi edhe Rigoni. Grupi është 4 HP. Do të moro Rigoni aty.
As you can see, Sydney, they're waiting for that smoke initially to fade away on the other side of mid, has just now backed away, and that's probably for the best. Have the numbers advantage just...
Hadi Rigan, hek Rigan. Chaya be Rigan.
To punish this aggression.
Gjuje bomën, gjuje.
Manages to
GG.
pull away with a kill, a second
GG.
goes his way, and suddenly, with GXX pushing down the
5-0 bob.
all into the...
Travis and Yo,
to
Harris.
try and pull off a miracle
Gans.
to save the day here.
So catch.
Well, the first kill is the start, sure.
Two players there, almost lines them up.
Bravo, edhe pse e kapi se nerin e qëtë po pështum 4-0. Ka gja damage në kanë bo. Po kena bore apet. So. 5-0 bo, 5-0. Shkojna 16 në kajmak.
A little fortunate, honestly, for B&E that Ferrum...
Ni 16 në kajmak ju lut na.
refuse to pronounce that. Ingentium were going over towards the B site. A little fortunate that they walked into their entire stack. Works out for them regardless, and now an opportunity to keep that farming going. Currently 4-0 up, looking pretty clean thus far on the pistols. Looking to have some impact here.
Bravo,
Now, they
Flatra.
need to
Ksa
take
për
some
mas,
damage
ksa
out of this
Flatra
one.
për mas.
Flatro once again finds the
I vin
opening.
di pak Flatras.
Once again is taken down low for his efforts.
Edhe Sydney shumë blave kalon. Shaja bre se ne bre. Top form po mdo. Top form ka kështë.
I don't think they'll have too much trouble. Maybe the pistol
Pezzo
tucked away with a killer too,
Pezzo
but
sa
in
2,
terms of the
GG.
actual round at this point, it's looking pretty firmly in the hands of Bad News Eagles.
Mirë o Flatra dhe se neri mu largu që mos mi u parë.
At this point, it's just hope
Hadi
for some
Senar.
mistakes to be made out of side, unfortunately.
Qaja.
He was waiting it out. Ali will get
Rujo
one, that's
Gens.
enough as well, of
Hadi
course,
bre
so with a
Senar.
shot being missed,
Qaja.
he gets the second frag.
5-0. 3 veta e na gjallë. Super.
I mean, the bare minimum of 2 kills at least comes true. Put a dent in the economy, even if it's a small one on the side of Bad News Eagles, and hopefully you can come alive now. We'll go with UNG, will we, by the way? Just that's what they have in their team tag there.
Sure.
I'm struggling getting Ungentium out every time, not gonna lie. It's like, I don't normally have to use Latin mid-sentence, you know?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And then you've got the Latin combined with Furry Fury. So there's a very juxtaposed name there for you. Two very different themes.
I don't know, maybe the Latin, maybe back in the ancient times of Rome and such, they were just really into furry. You
can really hear you there.
Can't prove it either way.
Sort of working through that to try and find a way to say what you want to say.
It's still early times here, and I don't normally have to think about history in the middle of a Counter-Strike.
Hade shqipe, like and subscribe.
We got there.
My brain's waking
Tore
up. You know
leç
my
për
sleep
shqip.
again.
Vallaj si di se alla dit kam të vitu 5-0 po, na I këthena.
5-0 down.
O që ma mirë me kom tuk. Me fitu qitron, I shkon mirë, sa apet mesin ata eka.
They need to come up with an idea here. They need to come up
Ja,
with
moj
something
me
a
do alla
little novel
fort.
to crack this defense, because at the moment that mid control is lost immediately. Previously, they've been pushed off their B lane aggression, although
Ma
this
saranno
time
neki
Ruby is
ku
having
kad
none of
liken
it.
e
Early molly
sponsorit
in towards
çote
big.
cheat na i boti
Flatro pushing out from
VyperVPN.
mid, and he catches him over top of the
E keni
smoke.
edhe linkun e
Will
po
be
në
traded away by
description
Sydney, and
edhe
that mid presence again.
comment.
He tried to lurk this last time, didn't work out for him. This time Sydney is able to punish the aggression, and that's a nice refrag to find. Buys a little bit of time.
Amerikan?
Look at
Çaja
Rick, as
Amerikan.
soon as he realizes
4 vs 3,
he
3
smells
vs
a
3.
rat, he works his way in towards A, gets the kill. Meanwhile, Matthew has
3 vs
managed to
3
open
jena.
up B, and that makes things even more
Ah,
interesting.
Giver
GXX
Games.
missed shot, needed that one.
Uuu, smoke atë.
Onto Bialy to keep his team a man up.
Edhe ke bume atë që ban damage, dhe rigoni rata. 6 me 0 të ndërruar meq. 6 me 0. Alla dhe të runda, 6 me të sopa. Edhe i shlibedish.
Ungentium are going to do than Ungentium do, right? There's a flank there from Rigon that gets them the early kill. Then almost immediately, Synopsy is working his way up the ramp as they get the bomb down. It's a pincer in from 3 angles at once. And there's just nothing Ungentium can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, if GXX didn't manage to catch that one kill onto, I think it was by Ali at the last second as the smoke started to bloom, though, maybe things go a different way. They have that extra bit of cover to ensure that they don't get flanked out as quickly, and maybe it would have been Ungentium's round. But unfortunately, that's not how it plays out, and at the moment, it's a bit of a struggle. I mean, Maddie's starting off quite slow. It's worth noting that over the last 60 or so maps that they've played together, he's the only one of them with a positive KD. So they really, for me anyway, really will be relying on him stepping up and having a good battle on that off against GXX. And at the moment, certainly a slower start from him. Aggression should be expected. Grubby has definitely heard the footsteps. Rigon's actually geeked, I believe, in on mid at the same time. Scenario attempted some ramp aggression. That will allow the trade back, but I mean, it's a 1-for-1, and then there's a ton of damage done onto at least 2 of those players.
Po shumë damage kam bo, GG 7-0, 7-0.
And they're just being picked apart one by one. We don't even get an opportunity to see exactly how it unfolds because it's just one bullet here and there, a nade landing near their feet, and suddenly Matty's left all alone. Didn't even have the bomb with him. It was back at the spawn. He's going to pick that up, and I'll hope he can find some mistakes being made here within the next minute. I don't know if saving is all that great of an option either.
Might be able to get at least a pick. Rigon's going to go for a wander down mid. He will get that nice headshot onto the second of Synopsy as well. And now this starts to get a little bit worrying for B&E. No real information about what's going on. Damage onto both of these remaining players as well. GXX and Juan Flatro struggling ever so slightly. GXX misses this early shot on the AWP, and it's a nice pre-fire angle for Matthew as well. We could be onto something here. So he lines things up. GXX, he's being lined up. He's being tagged down. 2 HP for the AWP. He'll have to retreat. Plants come through.
Wow.
Matthew looking for the big 1v4 here. No
No
utility to get himself into this one, so he's just going to have to play the site. Turtle up and hope he can line them up. Knocks down one, but not the second. One flat throw, lightning quick on the response. And Matthew, it's a valiant effort. 3 kills to his name. Can't quite finish the job, but again, at the very least, it's going to force near enough a complete reinvestment from B&E because they've consistently been losing players, so the money's going to be a little bit slim.
Normally been at least a couple being knocked off the board. They haven't had too many 4 to 5 player rounds rather, where that many players managed to survive. So, as you said, maybe one more couple of round wins. It'd be 2 in a row in order to actually break it down. Ideal though, their utility here is a little bit weaker than I was hoping it would be. They have a Galil as well on Prism. He's even yet to get a frag, having a very rough game, and they push out for their mid control. Synopsy doesn't even need vision apparently to spam through, does some damage on Sydney, but more importantly, very quickly removes Grubby off the board. I would say potentially one of the more impactful players. Nice catch by Sydney. Bit of damage, but importantly brings the numbers around in their favor alongside that kill from Matty, as Rigon went for a very adventurous push into A main. I think maybe the overconfidence right now slightly playing into it.
Second time he's tried that, once it works, so why not give it another roll? Sydney on low HP is going to be in trouble here out red. One Flatro starting to clear his corners, should be able to deal with him, and does. Surely gives away a little bit that B site's looking vulnerable though. The B site player being caught in middle, and as they work their way up the ramp, Ungentium, it is going to be Juan Flatro solo to defend. Up against 3. Orp trained on his position as well. A couple of warning shots fired away, can't quite land. Bialy opens up the site, and a big opportunity here from Ungentium. They find themselves 3 on 2. Scenario and GXX a long way away on this rotation, with Matthew also posted on the long angle. This is a really nice afterplant now for Ungentium. Aid will chip away at the AWPer, but he won't mind. Stays posted on the angle. Flashbang's just a little too late. GXX not quite making it work. And this will be the first round on the board for Ungentium as GXX backs to save. It feels like they've just started to get a read on what B&E are doing, right? That time they get the early pick and presence in mid. They force the fights. They get themselves the 4-on-4, expecting the aggression out A main, which we haven't seen from them yet. And with 3 players left alive, it's a nice little win.
Yeah, in the earlier gun rounds, I mean, first gun round, I think they just got caught up outside of B with like 4 players, right? And had like the one holding on mid, and then they ended up losing out to the aggression. So, as you said, just kind of realizing, if they do put that heavy presence around one area in the early stages, it's pretty likely a response. Presence and, as you said, punishing the A main aggression. I don't think it's going to be a way they can replicate a second round exactly. I'd imagine Rigon's probably going to be a little bit more cautious now over on the A side of the map. The only problem is, even with that up being saved over, they decide against the force buy. And I think I'm with it, because it's 7-1, they have the opportunity here, maybe to still do something with this one. Hopefully just turn things around in their favor again as soon as the guns come out. Perhaps it's now one Flatro with the initial kill. Fortunately, not expecting Prism to have already took themselves in up close behind the box there. So he pulls back quick frags. See, no weapon's going to be recovered by the CTs either, so they're still just working with that one up and a couple of deagles. And as long as UNG work together from this point out, manage to trade effectively, there really shouldn't be too much trouble, bar a bit of a hero play coming out from Bad News Eagles.
And here's the hero play. GXX peeking down B. Ruby is next up, and Rigon just not expecting that presence. Will be taken down cleanly. At the very least, that's bomb spotted, which presents an interesting dilemma for the T side. Little do they know, Synopsy has got aggressive into A main as well, as GXX looks to lurk the AWP back towards mid. Timing's all over the place, as now Synopsy will start to work his way out of this main control and into Sydney, who's looking but not quite looking the right way.
Ma papora 0-0 eller? Ungentium GG. Ragazzi. Fare Synops smash vape. De är skjorna.
But with 30 seconds left on the clock, he's got to be conscious of the time. Synopsy picking up an AK in the meanwhile as well.
Stöt mig ja, ni görs mig med ja. Att jag fått mig ni görs mig med ja.
Pistols, but it's the saved AWP of GXX with 3 and a round out and nothing for B&E.
It's awkward. I mean, they should have maybe been a little bit more cautious initially there when peeking back towards the ramp once they had the 4-on-3. Obviously, they knew they had already taken contact around that area. There was the chance the up was posted on that longer range angle. Really should have had the follow-up swing ready for an attempt at the trade, but unfortunately that's a stumble that I don't think they can really withstand in this series right now. As we said, winning Ancient here is incredibly important, as Inferno is where we would definitely be favoring Bad News Eagles by quite a bit. Sadly, the economy isn't really there for everyone here. Gonna go for the buy anyway, understandably. They are down 8-1 already. They desperately need to grind out a few rounds here, but you're gonna have a Galil in there. It could be slightly better, but overall there's the opportunity here to try and immediately bounce back, and the economy wouldn't withstand it again. It would be at most maybe 1 or 2 rifles alongside some pistols. This time rather it wouldn't be an eco either. They would actually be spending literally everything to get that. So the opportunity is still there. It just, I don't know if it's within their reach. Bad News Eagles at the moment seem to be a bit too much for them to handle.
At the very least, Ungentium are trying something a bit different here. Control in towards main. Stack outside of mid, does chip away at 1, and it's, well, Rigon, he's on a 1 and done angle here, to say the very least, on the high ground, but he can't find the shot. Prism takes him out, and now GXX
Hade flädra, tjaja börjar flädra. Hade flädra, tjaja. Treba se dö, se treba se njate. Po boje, nejte po. Pět menjal, mám menjal, kolik smet, Musarani me ball, like, ever subscribe, bossa.
So much room to work with, right? That time we see them pushing down mid, they get the mid control, they work out there's nothing going on there, so Juan Flatro immediately is thinking about rotations. No noise outside of B when we've seen it so consistently. B&E are reading this like a book, and it's making it very difficult for Ungentium to get anything done, because at the moment, quite frankly, it feels like B&E know what Ungentium are going to do before Ungentium have worked it out themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that's so enjoyable to watch when they're playing at their best, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be the most tactical at the moment. Their calls are good. They are taking good initiative, but it's just how the individuals are playing that is so fun. They're all so confident in their ability. Maybe sometimes it backfires as it did for Rigon, but then with everyone else being as strong as they are, they can make up for those smaller mistakes. Rigon goes down. Will they be able to recover it this time is the question. Not everyone is actually ready for this A. That's the problem. I'm sure they get this off, but there's a second player push through with them, but they don't have the bomb anywhere nearby. Question is, can they cause more trouble here to maybe let that bomb have success elsewhere on the map? Groovy manages to get a decent kill there on one flatter. That's another weapon in their hands now. Sydney brought down low, but with Scenario damage to Synopsy here under pressure as well. This round could very quickly spiral out of control for Bad News Eagle.
This is chaos now. They've got full A-site control in Ungentium, but that bomb is so far away. Groovy going to go for a swing, and GXX again, not quite able to land the shot. Teammate goes down. It's a golden opportunity now for Ungentium. 2v4, and I don't think the CT side really want anything to do with it. Scenario and GXX looking at the economy of their team, looking at the situation they find themselves in, have backed away from it, headed over towards that B site, and you've got to imagine this is going to be the save call. So a little bit of a round out of nothing really for Ungentium. A quick deagle pick onto Rigon, gets an AWP into their hands, and from there it just felt like there was chaos across the map. Nobody really knew what was going on whatsoever, and maybe that's the solution. A little bit of chaos, caught a few rotations off guard, and they nabbed themselves around.
I mean, how many times have we seen this, though? The weaker weapons manage to thrive. As you're kind of saying, the pressure's off. People are willing to try something a bit crazier, and chaos can allow those weaker weapons to find success. We'll see whether it's able to be replicated now, and I would say there's a decent shot. Even with these weapons being saved, the economy isn't going to be perfect. Sure, they will scrape together a buy, and it'll have most of the weapons. Should actually be able to drop over to both Synopsy and Rigon, so it'll cost them everything, but they'll have the full buy in play.
Mobtat en vinna till bollar
så
känner nog gärna catch. INFERNO easy event.
On the other hand, if UNG have the ability to take this round, suddenly it's an eco for Bad News Eagles. They're up towards at least 4 rounds on this D side, and with still a shot of coming out with 6, which would be a miraculous recovery from the position that they were in. So I'm not counting UNG out of this right now. Looking like a fairly standard default split once again. We are going to have some K of aggression, though, I believe, from Bad News Eagles. It's a little bit later, surprisingly so.
Yeah, spawns weren't quite right for them. Decent tick of molly damage taken by Rigon as well, so he'll back away. So often those half-buy losses are the ones that can really just start to thread and unravel the whole thing.
Mopa padaš, nopta teme domofoniatu fitu. Are bossa bojene like, jena 105 lajka. A shkojna për 2 qenja, kojna belen.
Try and hold on to that portion of the map, and it's cost them the aggression we've normally seen elsewhere. Pot flash to get in though, and they line up. One
jeni
flash
për 200 lajka.
well with Rigon to get 2 opening picks. And again, it's Ungentium on the back foot. Sydney looking to correct that though, does manage to find a quick pick in middle. And again, with that lack of mid control, you can see the CT start to scramble a little bit. Scenario working his way into donut. Once again, the thorn in the side of and 2v4. I mean, they've abandoned the A site, the B site rather, so there is definitely timings here for Bialy. The question is, how soon do the CT side realize where the hole is and start to look to patch it?
Good catch by Sydney at least, but fortunately dink down low before actually getting the kill on the net. It's going to finish him off. No way you can survive that, and well, with that, the only hope really is a bomb plant, at least adding to the economy. It is gonna say possible that the bomb plant gives them the full buy, but with a kill before getting this bomb down now, suddenly he has a small bit of time to try reposition. Scenario doesn't have his assistance here yet, so I was gonna say the chance to force this 1 versus 1 in towards the caves was there for Bialy. Unfortunately,
Sarani bajne like och subscribe bossa, samma som like och subscribe. Kana mi kjur banajet što kunder Ungentium. Och förresten så kan man fitu Jenavec se fitu.
Again, stop UNG from getting any sort of momentum going for themselves. The bomb plant, as I mentioned, at the very least lets them buy again, including an op onto Matty. He's definitely picked it up a small bit, but he's still not standing out as much as I would hope for, considering the level of statistics he's been putting up on this team so far. He really is a massive standout regularly. As I said, he's the only one of them with a positive KD over their past 61 maps that they've played together, so it's an interesting statistic to look at.
Not a great one to have to say either.
8 damage. Not bad.
Good chip. Synopsy into a dangerous region, trying to hold on to that mid control. Never a particularly comfortable place to be. Stuck between the B lane and mid and Z. There's so many angles that you're vulnerable to, but holding on to that control again, and this is starting to reek of those early rounds where B&E were really dominating. There's once again Ungentium, 4 players just queued up outside of these B doors, and utility refresh to come in again from Scenarii as he looks to take that control. Difference is this time the rotation is actually over towards the A site, leaving just Scenarii and Synopsy here to defend the lanes. Smokes start to come over the top. They should start to work out what's going on, but one flashbang over the top feels like it really could start to unravel this one. Scenarii tucked close on the right-hand side.
هذا سناب جو سناب måste jag fall hedge. Shamla vi kan låna till Synopsy apet med 3 och så 3. Oh, det är gan brash high tog köra nej.
Suddenly it's the man advantage for Ungentium with 35 seconds left. Miss flash, one flat throw
Oh,
goes down.
DT Playboy.
Well, he's looking to do the impossible.
Har Gensi. Gens. Kofi, kuka, kaj niz vlačka. GG. Meran si flick sniper rate Gensi.
Could feel the quick step out and quick scope, man.
Kursen
Only thing, unfortunately, was the Molotov, of course, making that damn near impossible. If he stepped to the side, he might have burned the light before he get a shot off, so yeah, managing to come away with really a lot more than he should have gotten in that corner. Some extra damage at least being piled on the economy and not allowing for UNG to really build up any economy. So gives them the shot to bounce back. If they somehow can win this force buy right now, they have an opportunity to still end at 11-4. Considering they've only got pistols here, very little utility behind it as well. This should be UNG's opportunity to pretty much confirm the 5 round for themselves. Ruby will be able to catch that aggression as well. So he falls, and it's like they just want to straight up call the commitment on towards A. Very quick rotations coming in as well. As we said though, with it just being pistols in play, a lot that they can do at range.
Sapa balla
Flash was 5-7 on the other hand in towards Dono. Get one quickly on Prism, forcing it through the bomb. And they're just getting overrun on the bomb site. The flashes are perfect. Scenarii
med Eko kan afito, måste ha nästa effektiv på de fan med Eko.
Suddenly it's a one-on-one. Byali with a perfect molly though on the back of the bomb site there. Might just force the angle and Rigon pops his head up. Byali will take it. It's a lot scrappier than it should have been, but at this point I don't think it matters for UNG as long as they get the round wins.
Oh, you were ready to see there. That was not fun to witness. B&E, as you said, just getting the rotation in early and then swarming the site with absolutely everything they had. Just trying to see if they could get anything done at all as Ungentium now take the pause. Try to work this one through. Don't mind it.
Ja, Josh Strömberg med Jamat. Ja, Pet Force naturligtvis. Ich kan mer välja få läka.
We don't see teams using their pauses. They don't use them well enough. They don't use them often
Fast att han nog kan få.
Just pause.
Okej.
You've got pauses in your back pocket.
Synopsy må komma imorgon ja. Du killar.
Super. So use a bit of time to work out how you're going to get the buy together. What the strategy is, because I mean, you said it.
Wallahi arditsa kompatibel. Çfarë fatit plot po brate.
Feels pretty miraculous for
Ungentium. Nuk e kompatibel po PUBG. Dje kom los screamsa med ata typen är passna på. Mabel måste ju blocka live.
But on this CT side, and we'll see it as we come into this last buy of the half. I mean, you've got 1 rifle, an MP9 and 3 deagles to try to defend with.
Imorgon Katarun bara lako saken. Nej, imorgon. Cham jobbar.
I think it's more and shoots it. Very sweet. But yeah, I mean, it's slightly better than the buy in the previous round at least. They have a rifle this time behind it. Utility's pretty much the same. There's
But
no
they're
bit of
not
it comes down to a retake.
Gothic. Again,
ideally they will want to cause chaos as they did in the previous one. And
tu besa kompasa, vet que kom los skräms, kör live jam kom los skräms se knakri skräms.
No, nothing too crazy coming out.
Dock du sa ni lo kan lo paranga va kom dar.
Confirm for the moment that there's not really a lot going on this side of the map for UNG. They do look to be favoring in towards an A split, which could work in their favor, yeah, especially as one Flatcher already gets that initial kill on Byali. I was gonna say his flank might have worked once they got contact around Donut against Rigon, but besides the initiative there on that peak is going to be a better idea, and indeed it is. It actually eases a lot of pressure, some good damage done on the CT as well. Sure, they're both only down to 60 or so. Apologies, hit my mic there. But with the Deagles being in play, that's a massive help.
Again, you start to feel a little nervous, don't you? 50 seconds left on the
Bossa
clock.
sarani me ball like
Plenty
a
of
subscribe.
utility to plan this
Na
into and
vyn,
execute.
ale ose suba,
But
prej
once
bani
again,
1800.
being a
Edhe
start,
një
get a
sub,
read
veç
on
edhe
the
një sub na
situation.
vyn
Three
për një
players
bon
in towards the A site as
1800
the
suba.
utility pops out Molotov to
Kështu
try
që
and force GXX into the open, which it
Tros
does.
në
A
atë
tag
sub
and
kaja
nothing more.
beren.
Prism down low.
Se pa
Sydney finds
parë
the
edhe
kill,
najte.
however, and now Synopsy with a lot to do, but they line up for him, make it easy, 2 for 1. And Groovy trying to stabilize the situation will be his next victim. Sydney this time
Døva se një.
thrown into the 1v2 as Synopsy
Synopsy,
looking to do a bit of
Allah.
gun juggling. Scenario on full HP will get the rifle. Sydney looks to bait.
Bu mos e ka montu, mos u
Just a little
gotni.
bit more info. The
GG.
pistol baits
Se
him in,
nere
and
aty,
Scenario
19
knocks
me
him
4,
down, 11
përfundon pjesa
as
parë.
we head into the half, and that,
Tash
I mean,
jena
that was a dominant
terroristos.
performance, considering that's Ungentium's map pick as well, and you look at the stats, and sure,
E,
being
po,
here a
s'di
little
qam që i
CT-sided,
zët
but
një YouTube
Ungentium
më
are
të
pretty
s'kom hija,
evenly
por që i
matched. I mean,
shekon.
that's a dominant half.
Yeah, especially the early stages
E
where
shat
it
një
was
mëjnë bellojkat.
usually 3 or 4 players.
Ty besan,
alive and all those
edin,
rounds and
kur e
also
bojna
BP as
shumë
well.
lojka, ka mundësi që ju
It
del
surprised
njerëzve.
me that the economy was kept as low
Do më
as
thonë,
it was. It
kur
didn't
hen
seem like
YouTube,
that much damage done.
ka mundësi që e qet live-in te.
It seemed like they had a little bit more success maybe, but only towards the end did they manage to put up any sort of a fight.
Nëse
at
bojna
all.
shumë lojka,
Just as you said, I don't think it's really going to be
Kur
enough.
hen
They're going to
YouTube,
need a
për shkak ja
tremendous
reklama
CT half.
live, i thot shkjo
Before
live.
we get there though,
Janë
guys,
tek
we are
shqip
going to
ka
be sending
gjatë
over
veta,
for
e
just a
kam bo
short
like
break.
ka
So stick
gjatë
with us,
veta.
we will be back ASAP.
Shkojna desat me reklamat e këtënve, desat fillon pjesa dytë. Si dinja 3 ditë aran kena hi ardhet. Një 2 ditë i kena këshirë bënajet, kena lu 2 ditë PUBG, së dhe 3 e bënajes. A paguash për këti të pak ajo? Ja, as një pare për YouTube se marë. Jetë më në qëtar s'pja ka dhejt vërtetën që po du like me bo pare se kuku për mu. Ja, këto në YouTube s'jam pesh like për pare. Do të me pas reklama. Për reklamat sone si kam qelta. Kështu që kënejna veç hi për qef. Për qef. Në gjithë kum hi edhe me pare edhe pa pare, ama kënejna dhe me thonë pa pare, po nej. Bëj live. Kalla blaka në duke qyrë. Po, s'pe bojnë like, s'pe komentoj. Komentojnë i kitë. Hare kitë me shufur të bënej. Allah, këtë pa akaunt ato këshyra dhe në YouTube. Një unë a ditë që ke për bënej, tha, a i ke i të këshyrë bënej, thash për. A i tha se për baj full screen televizor. A i tha, shkallja mirë. Shka mi thonë. Në televizor së më përqel shë akaunt. Tha, a i se për të këshyri televizor. Ishte bedesh. Me pos kamerja kësha ba hello pej televizore, të do në TV. Zemër ti mos meno kur me më thirë, veç knena pa lidhje pa muzikë. S'po më rrihet. Nuk po më rrihet. Nuk po më zene vend i vend. Qfar? Wallahi. E kam AMD Ryzen 7 2700, grafika RZ580, 8 giga. A fitum. Pjesën e pare këna fitu, alo, su kri dhe më thonë ma pa 11 me 4. Luini të dëmë desat më qirët PUBG. Një orë banën. Po më zend, vend i vend. E jo Geti. E jo bebi. Unë jam Geti. Nësë më rajtë se të mbo interneti. Jam kërë të fol vetë me veti. Apo vjen a që shpohi mua beti. Ti një kje mene hull. Unë e di që të mona. A pasor së të rjetë. Shka me vota shënë. Unë dhe eva pikqyri dojmet. Shka po thojnë dojmet. Me cilin e kepje. Për këto bëna jetë normal. A për futbol me Barcelona. Edhe e lun, atë në rëndë simulator. Allah I bës se ka më
After a
karabë.
dominant first half by B&E, Ungentium
Arsenal
needing
could get through
a
at your
very
point.
swift turnaround if they are to make something of their map pick in this best of three. And
Janë
you'd have to say,
karabë.
Dean, it's probably
Ka
got to
rindi
start
këta
with
janë
a pistol.
Petrova,
They've
s'po
not left
s'ka nejt
themselves
fort
much of a
aktiv.
buffer whatsoever.
Kënejnë as disha I ka gje.
No, not at all. If we were to lose this, there'd be maybe one
Hare,
gun round
4
between them and the
minut
fee here on
pjesa e
map one.
dyta.
So, as you said, it cannot be allowed to happen. Only one player towards the B side of the map right now as well for Ungentium. The
Fito dy
gamble that
rundat
they've
në
taken in the
Altin,
early
ata.
stages here looking like it might be the
Njërë,
wrong one,
për telefon për
unfortunately.
fito malti.
There's a kit in play, so if they need to play for the retake,
Bom, ja
they're
po
a
montohet,
small
kot
positive.
kismet.
Unfortunately, the hope would have been for Prism to maybe catch one or two on the fadeaway.
U e ka
They
ka
will do
gjari
some
goni.
decent damage to the smoke there on the Regon. There's still plenty of time for Bad News Eagles, as we can see, to set
got
up for this
that,
aftermath, put
Senar
themselves in
Bala.
strong positions. To play with these Glocks up close and personal were their favorite. It's already
Gense,
Ruby
Harigans.
and has been taken down by this long flank from GXX, and that's going to put the wheels in motion. Now
Super
they've got to move
goni,
fast
treba
before
së tre.
that flank can cause too many issues, and
Bravo,
they're
Gens,
already
treba
gonna
së
be in
dy.
play. GXX manages to take
Due
out
së
one.
dy.
They're on the bomb though, or at least they were attempting
Due
to,
së një,
unfortunately being
një
pulled
së
off
një.
there by the spam, and now it's all on
Shpejt,
Mackie.
Senar,
First
se
go down
shkum
to a
përsh.
1 versus 1, but he should be able to
Qaja.
stop it in time, and
Ah, fitum,
that got
GG.
incredibly close.
4
Maybe
me
a
12.
second and a half, I think, away from the full defuse there. But it is going to be eventually just
Qa
about
është kjo
clinched out
vëfënë
by
me
Bad
ta
News
shkem
Eagles.
altë në qa.
Kid
Jo,
nearly
bre.
got them over the line. Nice smoke in
Skemi
towards
tamam.
Cave, isolated the fight,
Është
forced them
reklam.
through the smokes B&E, and well, without that flank of GXX, it would have been a done deal.
Ç'kja reklama unë
Fantastic
pagun.
job,
Mos
just
I bëdani me di.
continuing chipping away at Ungentium as they try and get that
Ç'kemi
retake
jep
going.
një 3-4
At
milionë euro
12-4
kismet.
down, the full eco is not what you would have wanted to see if you're a fan of Ungentium. They've got one flashbang on Matthew to see if maybe they can get something going. I like this. It's a novel idea. 4 players in towards Donut. They'll flash themselves out, or not. They'll just
Me
walk
Barcën,
out, not seeing
e
anything at all
sezonit
just
kalon
yet. The
atë.
one flash is on Matthew though, as he
Ana
works
jam
his
me
way around
Barcelona
in
prej që
towards
kom
mid.
le.
And this is a
Oh,
nice
maybe.
little stack. I like it. GXX has got one, and that should give the game away now. And there you go. They
Hare,
Mac 10
4
starts
tre.
to just farm away.
Flatra,
They did
GG,
have
4 me 3
very quickly dealt
Shpërfije
with just the
2-0
one
me
casualty
ma.
as well for B&E. They
As
won't
më
be
me
fussed
botak
about
me
that.
kana.
Fortunate, the smoke I think started to fade a
Po
bit
që
too quick.
di u
They
kanë
might
që
have had the
mon
chance to
është
get their
ama
flash pop through it,
qysh,
just all
nuk e di.
swarm at the same time, and at that point, who knows, maybe things could have went a little bit better for them.
Dy
The way
qysh
the
e
one
di
kill
që u
comes
kanë me
in,
botak,
considering
po
they only had a
qysh.
flash invested into
Ty
it, that's not
benedictio.
too bad, but obviously considering the scoreline, they need to start winning some rounds, so this is their only real chance to get themselves back on their feet now. It's really now or never. Weaker weapons being retained by B&E, but only the 2 Galils as well, so I wouldn't really call this much of a weaker round. It's not quite the bonus round either, though. Really utility put down around the cave. It looks like it will stop B&E for the moment. Oh, that looked like it was going to be a nice lineup still, though. It will land on Prism. Not enough for the kill, but it's a ton of damage already heavily weakening them up. Putting the pressure on towards this B bomb site, and look how limited the utility is already at this stage. There's over 1 minute and 20 seconds left, and they've only got 2 smokes, a molly, and a flash.
Nej, pa ta është që që kom trova.
Multiple executes in the back
Ja,
pocket
t'ja
of
kom
B&E
ai
as well,
3
as they
element.
just now start to probe into that mid control.
Edhe një valla me Barcelona. Barça baba.
Utility to flush out the fight.
A ne tash me la. Po sot e ka Barcelona lojën Champions League.
Peering into a main, not seeing anything.
Pe
in the
nom dha
aggression.
po.
Actually, it's going to be
Po
down this big
shiqe.
ramp.
Inshallah banejt fitojnë 2-0 se do të më kshu Barcelona tani. Se dhe ka me pëlqenin. Lewandowski sot një hat-trick. Për herë të parë me Barcelona të bëhet hat-trick. Sa mapa janë? 3. Best of 3.
Lurking towards mid as well for Juan Flatro should be good for a free
Mapa por shpërshijet pa fito ata aty.
And at this point Matthew I think he needs to try and
Bom
save
ja
that
man,
AWP. They need something to keep him fighting. The
Në ora
economy
9
absolutely
është Barcelona
decimated now
kundër
for
Pëllzhenit.
Ungentium, and indeed he's going to try and back away, but try is the word.
Në ora 21 0-0.
Timing's awkward for him. Doesn't spot his man as he
Fiton
works his way into
Barcelona
tempo, so
se
Matthew
ka me
might be able to
këtë
thread the needle here and get
Lewandowski
it
e 3 ka bërë.
Timings will be a little bit troublesome.
Nëse mëneni që ka me bërë Lewandowski e 3, bëjeni like. Ka Lewandowski me fitu topin e orë.
I'm gonna say over on the ramp right there.
Veç lojtarët e Barcelonës a Traorit fitojnë top ato.
And he's having a very rough game as well at 4-17 right now.
Kështu
so
që
getting
nëse
team
dëni me
kills
fitu
only
topin e
gonna
orë, a këpullësin e orë tash qyshove kam base se di.
As we said, that really
Doni
wasn't
me orën
close to the
Barcelona
ground
se
right there.
real.
Fourth of 14
Nuk
now.
mëni me fitu
just the
për një
off carried
ekipi
over,
tjetër.
sure, but barely even really afford pistols behind it. Ruby's going to get a deagle and Kevlar, the others are going to invest a bit as well, and they do have the full loss bonus coming, but still you want to ensure that you have
Lewandowski sot
everything in this next round so
massakr.
that you can start clawing back into the game a small bit, even if it's not fully for an overtime, just to get something going so that
Lewandowski! Çfarë goli do
going
drojë.
into Inferno. It's just a quick B rush as well. I like this, the pace up, just keep it quick. It's 14-4.
Se në opsi këto, ja fen të shafën prismës.
Embroiled with and Synopsy, I'm not sure where
That's
he gets
a
shot
good
from here.
one.
That was confusing me. Did he get wall
It
banged?
was cave.
Yeah.
It was cave. He was swinging the corner angle. It's a rough old angle to deal with.
121 lajka.
Synopsis
Super,
confusion in that one as well,
shumë mirë në ato shku.
Matthew's
Më
picked
drejti
off
5
one
2018
here.
sa la se ka fitu
To be
gjinohë.
very honest,
Ja,
at
e ka
this point,
fitu.
I'd quite
Jo
like
më
to see him
drejt.
save that rifle. Synopsy is going to get taken down freely though, and that might start to tempt them back into this one.
Modrici po
The only being
vendohet,
smoked off
e ka
still an
fitu.
issue. If he could find a pick, then maybe they start to be tempted, but that
S'ka
clock already
lidhje
so
cila
far
fitan vetë
gone as
nëse
Rigon
menon se ka
deals
me
with one.
fitu një
Yeah, an
me
AK and an
me
AWP
like.
to bring into the next round is a nice little result from the CT side. So it's a 15th round on the board for B&E. The dominance on Ungentium's map pick continues. This is
15 copa, qysh përfshihet mapa por 16 me 4 ose 16 me 5 eventualisht.
I'd say a bit is maybe understating it. Being
Modrici e
quite
ka
rough.
fitu
I mean, we had
topin e orët.
the late stages of that first half where we saw UNG
Ka
managing to
fitu
get a bit of a recovery. Of
Vjeta
course,
par
but
vjet.
even
Kule
then,
fitoj.
they were very shaky rounds. It was coming down to kind of hero plays coming out, close clutches and such. So there's never been a moment where it's looked like UNG had it in them to really get the comeback going. It was always kind of, okay, that's something, but they need to build off of it.
Ja, moralet.
Unfortunately, they just never got
Ai
that
do të më
far
koni
in.
knaqë një herë që e ka
With the
fitu.
double kill on mid. Scenario was trying to help him out a little bit. He just
Messi
pressed and
Ronaldo.
firing. He'll have his opportunity now though to catch this B aggression as Sydney falls.
Në
And
klasën
I'll take one to the
King
grave with him alongside
Mes
Prism's kill as well.
baba
Does
se në
give some
klasën me
hope back to
Ronaldo.
UNG
Messi
here, but it's
baba
2-1-3.
valla.
They still need to flip on its head in order just to find some life.
fighting for every ounce of
Se
control
di
they
Allah
can
që
get
s'on
here,
s'kom
and
këshyrë
Matthew might
futboll,
have an
se më i men.
opportunity. Scenario works
Tash
his way
ja kom
back
nis të
into
këshyra
mid,
pet.
then maybe that's something, but now
Se ku
Matthew's
pas
on
plan,
his
kur
own,
bajsha
1v3,
lajm të radhës,
0v3.
këshësh
That's a
apo.
demolition
GG.
job straight up from B&E,
U kry
making it
mapa
look
par e
disgustingly
mojtëm map
simple
të atëm vi
on
mojtëm
Ungentium's map
16
pick, you
me
know.
4.
We were building this
Ishte
up, we were
bedesha.
talking about how it looked competitive, it looked like Ungentium could have a real chance if they stole map 1. That's a statement put down by B&E. That is a line in the sand that says we want to be making it out of
Bana e
this group clean.
16 me 4.
Yeah, and I think Inferno is kind of a similar feel in terms of the playstyle as well. So I do think that the level of play is likely to carry forward. As we said, of course, with UNG being a lot less familiar with Inferno than they are on Ancient. I think they've only played it a couple of times in the past few months, and while they had a bit of success getting a close game against K23, even though they lost, that was 2 months ago, and they've been at points even banning it out since then. So I don't know how much practice they've actually put in since that last defeat.
Well, we're feeling a little bit dejected here. We were hoping for a series. It doesn't look that way. Can Ungentium get the mental reset, pull off the big comeback on Inferno, and force us to just 2? Or will it be B&E continuing their winning ways to take the clean sweep 2-0? The only way to find out is to get through the ads and into map 2. So we'll be back in just a few, people. Stick with us.
Shkojna me publicitet, tha. Edhe na jena ullë mizanit që aty. Zemër ti, mos harani me bo like o subscribe o bosa, gjithashtu klikojni linkin që e kum bo pen që aty i shkon mirë me kliku sot mëni. Ja, 15 herë. I kuloti në mesnat dhe ti ike për të mos u kthyher po, për të mos u kthyher. Ja me le e farë më djela ti. A Ronaldo pe di me 17 halo se ka fitu. Sa Ronaldo. Me në malësia tha e ka mytë valoj. Po me në jone. Shumë me në malë. Me në veç për veti. Kje jetë nuk ka veç për veti e bashka. Dohet pak. Edhe për tjerë me menu. E mese e ke po. Ka njëherë ka mundësi me vonë gull vetë, po ja gjunë. Marra, jebe gull të ajtë. Ja ka marrë Messi në Barcelona. One për veti se kësha planu, jo që na i senet. Po o plak mu. Ma mira me shti Ansofatin të ashloj, me mëso Ansofatin se na vynë për të ardhmen. Se me marrë Mesin me këthy apet. Shka me këthy Mesin? Do të me mësu Ansofatin, me Rafinjan, tash Dembelen, që treshe do të me mësu me lu. Do të me pas këta përvoj. Menimi jam edhe. Po, mapën e pare këna fitu 16 me 4. Edhe Ronaldo e ka rrugën e madhe shumë. Te këte po Manchesteri e bon krezero atë lan, ka ja belan. Para me na. Shumë rrugën e madhe edhe s'manat me do, sa në top forme dhe. Plak më Allah. A Messi, nëjse Messi një 2 vjetë ma i ri është. Qaja Kosova ke mas. Messi ala, Messi edhe 1 vjet, 2 vjet, monat me shty. Nëse rrem PSG, nëse se ndrën ekipën, dhe me thonë, monat me shty. Nëse se ndrën ekipën, dhe me thonë, Messi monat që aty dhe 1-2 vjet, ka gja mirë. A nëse vazhdojnë nëse ndra Messi ekipën për shumë në Barcelonë, zbesej që kish mujt me bona i sen më në Barcelonë. E ka kry Barcelonë. Pëllë zbesej që vjen. Letërën PSG që aty mirë është nuk o keq. Edhe pse e ka atë breshkën aty, po shky Mbappé hisën pëlqen si lejtarë është. I, la. 19 vjeta, 20 sa i ka. Edhe kaq me ne mall, pe shtahit. Zdi. Benzema se Messi. Messi është... Messi o baba, ama Benzema është në top form. Është në formën e tina. Messi nuk ka fort. Edhe 2 mapa, nëse e fitojna edhe mapën tjetër, dhe më thonë kryet loja, mos ka. Po, se kanë thirë, se me PSG-n i ka... Vjetë dhe më thonë që ka lu me PSG-n s'ka bo sen. E faktu dhe ishtë me thirë, se... Ka pas sigurt në atë list pa kona i lejtarë që sen s'ka bo. Mesi dhe sa o mësu që aty me PSG s'me lu. Po dhe ishtë me thira, ma apet sa apet as në top 10 që s'kish mujt me i. As se kisha shtin asën në top 10 që jo. Ama top 100 që o dhe ishtë me i. Se nduket as në top 100 nuk është. Nduket. Si vjetë, nuk është as top 100. Ama si vjetë do të me fitu Benzema. Që asë qysh. Benzema. E meritan Benzema valla me fitu si vjetë. Ta është zi kush është në të farë liste. Ama, ma shumë se Benzema, zbesej që e meritan e kur si vjetë. Benzema po me nej që ka me fitu. Edhe e meritan, se u konë top form. Dhe fitaj plus që pjes ligën. Ta është zdi me kanë e ka kundërshtar. Qëfar lejtar tjerë i ka kundërshtar që mojnë me fitu. Mbappé s'monët me kanë. Messi as kandidat. Po edhe. Mbappé s'monët me kanë. Sen s'ka bon. Cristiano Ronaldo edhe që ashtu i ka shku viti pësht. A Champions si vjetë. Si vjetë, këtë gja ka ekipet forta. Real Madridi, Barcelona, Manchester City, PSG-ja, qëtu 4. Janë top form. Menoj, ose Manchester City, ose Barcelona. Nësi i kalin grupet. Barcelona e ka pa grupin ma të shtirë, ama... Nëse e kalin grupin, monat me fitu. Ama peta Manchester City është me Haalandin janë bot gjigant. PSG-ja s'pres me fitu, po na është dhe në gjysmë finale shkën. Wazapone. E harrove Liverpool. Liverpool, s'ka sen. Harraje që banë në Liverpoolin a i sen ati. Barcelona Ma në City, Reali ose PSG-ja. Që ke 4 sigurt kanë me konë gjysmë finale, 8-4, nëse që bjen me lu ma herët se gjysmë finale. City me Hollandin u forcu shumë. PSG-ja veç e ka marrë ka gja formën. Reali u kanë edhe është. Barcelona që ashtu me qëta sulmos me Lewandowskin, Rafinhan, ka gja e kanë gjallë sulmin. Plus edhe mbrojtjen me qatë Konden që a i shumë i fort. Dhe Barcelona e ka Bayernin Interin Viktorin. Nëse arrin Barcelona me ka përcy grupit në super. Bayernin edhe Barcelona Bayernin Interi Viktoria është thjesht që kam ja fol pikt se s'ma mërmejnë që mënët me bo najsen. Si dijet ama kete Barcelona Bayernin Interi Viktorien kanë me mujt gjithë qysh. I dap të Parisi. Allah i s'vedi isha me thonë, që të lësh ka e kalu në ligë ka gja mirë. E të veç pata pak po shem me hongër bëk, i kanë po një hajt ardit e mos u ledh. E dap të Barçën sezonin e kalum më zet, sezonin e kalum janë hanë lamë Barcelona. A ka shansë Leo mja këthi Bayernit e 2. Problem është. Problem është. Po me rëndësi bile mi mujt. E digan jena të fitu bëne jetë 1-0 me map. Tash është mapa e dytë. I kena mujt map të atënve, tash jena map të unën. Një INFERNO ndu këta në miragës si cëllën ka. Reali është i fort, Reali është top form, Allah. Normal, kër e fitën që pjestigën, vitin e kalon me kini fare, që të shtynë halon me fitu. A Barcelona, unë shabëllan Barcelona o kompletu, si vjetë, ka me konë te për konkuruese, konkuruku. Se ka përforcu mbrojtjen, sulmin, me sfushën, shqyqër se shetëm dhe jungin se, mo t'i shmo. A, i kena sahatu vëlla Rigan. 7-0 në kondi mujtë. Tani na i banë 7-1, 7-2, 10-2, 10-4 ndë këtë një. Po INFERNO është edhe D2. Mo pa të rejtë. 3-0 djera olë jam o lëndu me zema. Po e po që ish lëndu në fillim, po nuk e di, sa po më nga i kja, a keni na jenë, fës se këmë këshirë më. Veç 4 veta pe 2009 në Real Madrid. Kush janë ata? Barcelona u mobilizu foqeshëm, për jo kalzaj. Ta është ta këshirëm sëtë. Kur të lunë me pëllzhenin, ta këshyrën falloje për banë, se ka mundësi që e hupu, majs. Ama, shka kena lunë në ligë, lojt shka i kena bon në ligë, mojtëm Sevilla, para mëna Sevilla far ekipi është, e mojtëm 3-0, frim se kena lunë me ma. Ty lojt si lunë Benzema. Ta është ta këshyrën Rauli, shka po banë pa Benzemën.
Couple of pages with him on the chat list there, where there was a bit of a fight put up in the latter part of that first half.
Sot Barcelona nëse se mund këtë pëllzhenin 5-0, sen s'ka bo. Nëse e mund 1-0, 2-1, dije që nuk konë top for Barcelona.
Ungentium don't have a ton of experience in recent times and
Hara, po doni Vitello Tonato. Ka startu do me thonë mapa e dytë.
will be coming
shohin
through.
baneet
Who
kunder
knows?
Ungentium.
Still a small chance they can
Na
pull it off
INFERNO,
again
ma
towards
për në
those two
banes.
where things would be, as we
Sevilla
were saying,
e
a bit
dap,
more of a
vallaj
middle
nuk ka
ground.
Sevilla e
I think
dap.
we're slightly delayed on the start here. I'm not sure what the issue is.
This is looking.
Puh, sinopsi aty. A ka startua jo?
Still.
Yeah,
Ama sa
definitely. I think it may have
test.
started and an issue happened and
Test
called
ka
it a
ka.
There
stop.
we go.
Yeah, here we
pa
go. We're
shaj
starting
dole ashtu
now.
si hot.
Maybe a misplay or something along those lines.
Po s'në thua veç me një lirë. Po jo, ama
I suppose if you're looking for silver linings for
Qa
Ungentium,
ty me
they
marr
do get
zemër
to
tani.
start CT side, get
4-0
the pistol,
Barcelona
roll a
ma
few
si e ka
rounds
fitu
together,
Champions League.
build a little confidence, right? 'Cause that
Nëse
ancient
mujna
will
Pallxhenin
not
morëm
inspire
zemër
much,
tani.
if any, in
Whoop.
them so far.
Tani një javën tjetër, jo një javën tjetër, mujin
Really
tjetër,
leaning into
kur i
the
bjen,
utility in this
me
one
kare
as
kena
well.
me Bayernin na me Inter.
A full execute on the cards with 2 smokes, 2 flashes, and a Molotov to follow. It looks like they want to just hold off and wait out any opening aggression from the CT side, of which there is a
Bayernin e
bit
kena
towards
shumë
top
zara,
eight.
ama me Interin do të me mujt gjashysh.
Yeah, there's a bit towards top B, but then there's a lot more presence in on B itself as well. This is a heavy stack at the moment, and well, the correct decision is being made to bring this towards A. They need to move fast, though. That flank should be
Dese,
able to catch one
kur të
flat.
fitan
Never
5-0,
mind.
6-0,
A little
jep
bit of a
zemër
notifier
lejtorve,
that there
më
is at
aktiv.
least one player moving in from the bottom of mid as well. They've left one behind to hold on to that, and Synopsy, realizing that there's a
Ale
ton of
3-3
presence,
jena
needs to get
këto,
in towards that bottom
Ungentium
side where they do
kundër
trade out.
Banes.
And well, that lurker in towards long is going to find some success as
Bayern
well.
me
Getting the
një
bomb
javën
down,
tjetër.
though, I was going to say might have been some trouble, but well, that smoke should give them the room
Doka
to do
që
so.
Bayern
3-2
është ta.
after plant and well, no kick currently in the possession of Ungentium.
Me po për shembull në Bayern me nxerr një barazem, ose edhe në fitore 1-0, super për Barcelona një shka. E kështu më zonë venin e por ngrot, nëse fitojnë do më thonë edhe sot.
And now just Sydney, nothing doing the
GG,
scenario
bëna e të
puts him
fitojnë
down.
rundin e
That
por
was a
knena.
very chaotic pistol, Dean.
Qysh po
Vast
shihet,
aggression from the
kena
CT
mi
side.
çmontu edhe
Missed timings left, right, and
Inferno.
center on that flank as well. T-side just about managing to swing. Matty somehow from inside of the site plays the smokes to get 2. Like, it just absolute madness. And
Bak, këshyre më
unfortunately,
Bayern
the
me
madness really
Interin,
seems
shka
to
po
favour
ban sot.
B&E, right? We were talking about before this one got started, you know, the firepower differential, the fact that B&E really should feel comfortable in having the firepower advantage, the stats not looking
Më
great
konë ata
for
me
Ungentium.
barazu,
So you
super i
don't
shumë
really
për
want to be
Barcelona.
falling into those sort of chaotic patterns, because as soon as you
Bayern.
do, you're feeding into the
Zara me
natural
fitu në
aimers,
Bayern,
the
po.
Bonflatros, the Scenaries, Synopses, the
Me nxerr do
Rigons
më
of
thonë i
the world,
barazem i shkon super.
just making it that little bit easier for them.
Pse jo tani edhe ka fundin i
It's just there,
1-0.
absolutely lashing rain. Hopefully,
Hare Seneri aty, 2 veta i merë, edhe shumë dhe kalon janin, flatra, hare flatra, GG 2-0.
Present up into the bedroom, and with that one, Fletcher was able to pop out.
Shumë do këtë
Deal
CSGO
with
si
the remaining
stand-up
players
dish.
before that weapon can
Stand-up
become any
dish
sort
mos
of
po do
trouble.
këtë si CSGO.
With 2-0, a small bit of damage at least being dealt out, and considering UNG didn't invest in that round, I think they can be relatively happy with how it
Që
played
se
out.
mund Viktorin, veç banë me
This is where we
Bayesh.
really find
Ja,
out what they have to give us here on Inferno, and it really needs to be
Sendraj
this first
Barcelona,
round
edhe
where they
me
come
hu,
alive.
pale
Otherwise, it's just
sa.
instantly going to be reminiscent of how things played out on Ancient, and I think at that point it starts maybe getting in the mind of UNG a small bit. I don't care how good of a team you are,
Bosha si
how much
vjetë ka
experience you
ekipën
have,
perfekt.
after a 16-4
Vallaj
loss,
po,
if things
do
look like
hopër
they're
më në shmo.
trending in that direction again on the second map, you're not going to be inspired with
Qëre qaj
confidence.
konde shë ka orë mbrojtje, ajo lo
Just gonna make
edhe
it
në
feel
cën.
just that little
Si
bit
Daniel
worse.
Veshe është bab, si Daniel Veshe. Nëse e njeni, e njeni Daniel
Default
Veshe.
set up into this one, little bit of
Si
utility
Daniel
forces
Veshe,
the
lo.
CTs back
Se
off the
këta
opening
mbrojtësat e
banana
krajt,
aggression.
këta do të më orë në cën me
What
krësu.
looks like an apps pop to be called here, just to charge on out into the A site, try and get that Mac 10.
Ai
up
dy
close
assist
and
i boni me
personal.
Sevilla.
Trade's decent, Synopsy
Që
finds a
konde.
second. And now it's just those rotations coming in from
Ja,
long,
valla,
but
këso
Synopsy
jam të
continuing
lu,
to frag
standa.
out as a
Se
low
kam
HP
asist instalu
Bialy
me be.
next up to be chopped on down, and well, Prism 1v4, and they're going to hunt this as well. Rigon is not willing to let Sleeping Dogs lie. It's a clean 3-0, 4 players kept alive. And
Ta këshyri
Ungentium,
far formacioni ka
I mean, I'd
Barcelona
like to see
sot?
them take a pause already, Dean,
Nëse
just to
kanë
slow this
cheat.
down.
Yeah, I mean, now we're going into the next gun round. Either could work. Maybe now would have been a better idea.
Sergej
to make the
Roberta.
most
Ja,
of
po e
the
pasën shtjela
small
konden, ama
investment
qëndër
that they're
mbrojt.
actually going to have into this
So,
round, but
Lewandowski fati Dembele ka kancelën.
still
Kesi
be
Dejan
okay
Pedrin
because before this
Mesfush,
next gun round,
Alba
that's gotta be the
Konde,
main focus either
Christensen
way.
edhe
You've got two
Robert.
players so far who
Pse
haven't
ka
got
shti
on board.
Christensen
Prism, I
në
think he started
Allon
off
Champions
James
League
Bond
me
on that
startu.
previous map as well, so
Kto sa e kena
maybe he
ble.
can come to life a little bit earlier here. Is the CT side where we expect to have the majority of
Se
the
di,
ball
veç unë e
possessed,
menaj
so
që
get that
5-0
out in this
Barcelona
next
ka
gun
me
round as
fitu.
well. There's a ton of damage actually done in the early moments here. kills from UNG, and they have actually lost the player peeking down mid, but there's a chance for maybe 2 or
Partizanska
3 players to be
wytyczne
finished off.
Wiedźmie
Land a
Pasmate.
couple of headshots with these weaker weapons, and
Champions
unfortunately the
League
AK is making that a
zarma
bit of an
vitu.
issue. One flat throw creeping up
Ale
short,
on je to je ka
nearly
bon.
creeping into the
Katar
crossfire,
herrarna,
managing to
bäst
spot
herran,
the head
så.
of the first player
Så här att det fick upp.
before doing so, rather. I'll let him handle
I
things
Kalko
securely
ala
and
olit mel xo pakċad
walk the bomb to A, of course.
Sivijat mi għalon
Looks like
Barcelona.
they're actually willing to try and hunt those remaining 2 players towards B.
Yeah, not sure about
Ela knina banajet kater me
it's like a
zero.
bit of an ego call, doesn't it? It's just we're not going to
Uri
let
me
them say
neti-
the
aj
D
bana ma?
USP, like, okay.
Eba anonimjet
It's
qed
not
insuba.
necessarily the smartest call in the world, especially considering they've got, 2
O
rifles,
falinderit
both
o
of whom
bosa
are, well, one's
nimi e
definitely a one-shot headshot
shtat
for the
suba.
USB. I think Riggin
Shtat
would take
suba
one
na
to the
tri.
dome
Nom.
and then one to the body as well.
Falinderit
Have to do
shumë.
well just to hold off.
Gjithashtu
I think they
për
are
suba
actually
dhe
just going to
blike.
hold, see if they can get something on exit. But a 4-0 start for B&E. T side of Inferno as well. They're going to be more than happy with this. All 5 players
Kalter
kept up in
se
this one. Economy
Kje që qalgen.
blossoming nicely
Nar
for the T
pes
side.
spranaj. Edhe
Problems,
Lewandowski
it
duhet
feels,
trek.
only just beginning for Ungentium.
5-0 Barcelona
Yeah,
dhe
I mean-
Lewandowski hat-trick.
Positive in that is that it is still early days, so
Nuk ka
can still turn
kilimili.
things around. It's not as far out of control as it was on Ancient, but we said it's getting reminiscent. I'm feeling a little bit of
Bëna jetë
deja vu.
knejna po fitojnë, kot kismet me
More
më fituar
importantly,
që
Bad
tronë
News
shkojnë në
Eagles
Gjorë
are also
Zero.
on the side right now. If they keep on grinding things up like this, they're already going to have a half that'll be far too far out of control to be recovered. Team Matty, as I said, has the off now. They have good utility, really lacking on the CT side, and on the early stages, it looks like they do want to try and at least show some presence here around the map.
Sot Lewandowski hat-trick,
I'd imagine going in,
Ansu
there's only one
Fati
player
njo
who's pushed
edhe
forward a bit, so that's another
Dembele.
volley to flush that corner
Ose
out.
Dembele jo,
They
De
really have the
Jong.
ability to actually push in for control, and they
De
themselves
Jong,
realize
Ansu
that.
Fati
Know
edhe
the initial
hat-trick
presence, fall
Lewandowski.
back off. The problem is, Bad News Eagles, they know that no one is actually committed to this control, so they're not going to waste a ton
No,
of
it's
time. They'll be able
bombe.
to move in and just get this control.
I kalon
That
shumë
made,
losin
makes
opsin
it
në
at least
Rigonin.
somewhat costly.
Nice little chip. Good damage. And a lot of utility bled out from B&E as well. Minute and 10, 4 smokes remaining. Retake utility actually to come in from the CT side as well towards top of B, and there's nothing this T side can really do about it. Gonna boost up over the half wall, flashes to follow the retake to try and land here.
O, super, I kalon lava dhe bëna jetë qëto. E kom si dnejn, 4-4, me njerë me trejt.
CT smoke, but they're gonna disrespect it, and from new boxes,
Pris
Prisma's
ma
got a
Allah,
lot
edhe
to
si
do
një
here.
opsik në kana.
3 players already up through pull the
GG, flatra te me flash e kam ite.
takes advantage of the health.
Shko bomën e ullos, super, e kalon ka gjallava sniperistin. Seneri atë e 4-2. GG, 4-1. 5-0 të ndëruar meq. Sa ka me fitu Barcelona sot.
And well, it's a 1v4 for his own survival, quite frankly, because Scenari is not going to let him get away easily. Nice shot for the first. Hinted in from just about everywhere, however, it was only going to be a matter of time, and one flat throws the man to put him down 5-0.
It does seem like they're just a bit outmatched at the moment, unfortunately. I know Eagles
Trini
came
është
out
mirë se shkapën
swinging
atë në
today.
5-0, ku ne veç 3 pik në dëm.
To say the least. They
5-0 për
are
gollaveraj.
flying.
I mean, there's so little to break down because they're just being overrun no matter what happens. You can see that they have some ideas. I mean, they wanted the banana control in the last round, but Bad News Eagles decide that they themselves are going to attempt some quick control. So they
Kallzohen me këtu 5-0 me morë zemër tani Bayernin me sakatu.
utility, which already wasn't perfect for the CT side, and
GG,
this time around with the
shkojna
pistol
për
and such,
George
it's not gonna
Zaro,
work out for
kof
them either.
kismet.
A bit of damage done, but it doesn't matter when the numbers just keep on dwindling. One flat throw takes down the last of the A defense, and if they wanted now, they could just run that bomb in, but it doesn't really matter. They have a minute and a half, they have a 5-on-2, as long as they stick together on this, really. Shouldn't be too much trouble to deal with, at least not too much that they can't handle.
Split pistols between the two sides. You've got a Deagle over on B, you've got a 5-7 over on A. How much damage can you realistically get? It's a nice effort from Bialy. One flat throw down to 2 HP after the dink.
Shaky spray.
Yeah, a little bit rough around the edges, but
Pa
the thing is, it doesn't
zësenja,
matter. Like, it's one of
si
those
në
ones
pse
where
flatër dhe
if this
Rigoni
is
shumë
3-all
loja.
and that's the
Pa i
spray
ka me
that
bo
gets them
save,
killed
s'ka
against a
shka.
rifle,
S'pas ka
which you
s'ka me
probably
bo
would have done
save,
and
me
makes
allti
things
është.
awkward, then sure, it matters, but when you're 10-1, you're you're gonna be 6-0 up. You've taken your opposition's map pick 16-4. You can forgive those sort of small things. I'm sure Stickle, the B&E coach, will be giving him a little bit
A
of stick
full
for it,
16-0
making sure they
până au
correct those
băut
small issues
realitate.
afterwards. But so far, again, very clean round from B&E, and again, I want to see the pause from Ungentium because it just feels like this series now is running away from them rapidly.
Just to add, I don't think he would have committed to that spray if he was against the rifle right there. He would have went for the quick burst, reset, and gone for another if things weren't going too well. I think the fact that he was against the pistol, he was like, you know what, screw it, I'll try and hit this long range spray, a little bit of practice. I think that's literally what it was. But yeah, I'm very surprised we haven't gotten this pause you've been calling for. You should perhaps be the one on the server typing pause for them because they need a bit of time to chat. We'll see whether things turn around in their favor or not now. Getting that initial kill, unfortunately, it doesn't last very long. GXX is off, is able to very quickly get a return kill. Although, with a ton of damage being taken, one Flatro decides to push through that long smoke as well. Again, overconfidence at points can cost you, especially when Ungentium have already called for this rotation heavily towards the A bomb site and some risks with these peaks are being taken. They're working out. It's looking a little bit better from UNG and definitely are on track to take their first round. It's going to have to be something they can build on top of as well. And the economy is already ridiculous for B&E.
GXX just to look for exit kills here, but the HE will put him down. Nice start from Ungentium. Good use of the AWP to open things up as well. Problem is, as you said, it's not going to get any easier. The economy is ridiculous for B&E. They will be buying immediately and look to make some corrections. Mathy, how many times can he recreate a full blind shot on a nice timing to open things up is the question. Need a lot out of him here, it feels, for Ungentium to really get going. As B&E look to adjust.
No, Balian. The
idea of a bit more heavy presence towards Banana. Not really able to take the peak though, as I said. Early molly comes up from the teaser, stops that peak from coming through. Instead, a boost over the wall coming in. A very quick flick down onto Rigon's head. And well, I don't like the three of them being kind of stuck around sandbags right now, but it is a good opening that they've found for themselves. And it was necessary because they used pretty much all of their utility in order to get that early presence in the hope of finding something. Landing there, I believe, on Scenario as well. Might have been a nade, but I'm pretty sure the wall bank hit him down to 47, but he's still willing to take the risk through that smoke. Flash in from his teammate allows for the numbers to very quickly be evened up.
They want to go off the back of that as well. Orp looking to play on the angle, knows he's got to get proactive with it. There's bodies there for him, hits the first, can't quite react in time to double it. Didn't he now up into CT with a lot to do. 3 on 3, the spam through, just trying to bait them across, and Synopsy playing with fire here, tact again. We'll be able to transfer that bomb to the site. 3 on 3, gonna be the afterplant. Synopsy looking to punch in the numbers, takes a little more damage on his exit. The retake. Not in a great position either. Look at the utility the CT's got left. One flashbang. That will try to pop them into the angles. Synopsy playing inside of the smoke though. And Synopsy, just a little bit of magic from inside of that smoke. Lightning fast reactions to find the kills. And Bad News Eagles immediately back to their winning ways. And that's going to be a huge concern again for Ungentium.
Say the least. I mean, even if UNG had taken that round, it would have been one, at least, if not 2 more rounds before they could have actually broken down the economy of B&E. So it was a long road ahead of them, no matter what, to try and start building up the CT side, and for them to only be able to get a single round before kind of stumbling again here is going to make things that much harder.
Yeah, whoopie controllen.
Standard on the CT hold this time around as well. They don't have the utility to try and get as aggressive as they did before, at least not around Banana. Instead, bit of a crazy push there up through apartments, which doesn't work out all that well. Was a bit of success, I believe, back towards the stairs at least. So the trades come in initially, and they're going to continue actually to do so. Unfortunately for UNG, though, it's going to work out for B&E as they catch both of those players pushing forward on B and have just completely stolen the bomb site.
No bomb. They got to go
Boom,
back.
second.
Oh, scheiße. And Matthew is actually, he was waiting for this push out balcony all that timing. Rigon should know what's up here as well. The timings are ridiculous. Spotted. One Flatro shot, however. And now this gets awkward. Matthew is just lurking in the apartment.
Kalman Dimrigoni.
Rotating in support as well. This is a nice little crossfire between Library and the app.
SHQIP. Emlin ekipi teme.
Flashed out to take the peak.
Ungentium.
Land the shot and it's all on
Tito.
Viali, who's tapped away.
Rigoni.
B&E a little scrappy
Baba
there, to
Schwul.
say the least, not taking the bomb into that B site. A missed
Ja,
shot
den
from
ska snart
GXX,
få det.
but again, just the firepower of
Ja,
Rigon
Mara
with one
nedan
Thatcher
då,
there to
får
back
det
him up,
vara
able to
sedí.
wrench that 2-on-2 in their favor. And again, at
Spas
this
chádzaš
point,
na
I mean,
pár.
guaranteedly
Ja,
at
it's
the
just
half
might
of
nie ona
B&E
šta.
and Ungentium, they need to turn the tide and it needs to be done now.
Running out of opportunities. I mean, surprisingly, even looks worse than
Får
what we
det
got.
klart med CBM ändå.
I mean, not all that surprisingly
I
considering
am
we
tahet.
first noticed is Bad News Eagles map and
Abona mot
we
tahet.
don't really play it that much, but it's more so the fact that Ancient already felt so hopeless that I thought it could only really be upwards from there, no matter what the stats may have said. The B stack coming in, taking a gamble. You like it? See whether it pays off though with time. And the moment B&E have plenty of time to make their decisions.
Ah,
they can just roll
kaatera
around the map
läktää,
and see
mutta
exactly what
konsiskina
may be
ja.
going on. Does seem like they want to favor towards B though. A little bit of presence towards A, some utility being tossed over, and then a push towards B, which might backfire.
Sitten rantkina me hopsas.
Plenty of presence here, 4 bodies,
Problem.
pistols. As we've seen so many times,
Rigoni.
so much work, but
Har
really
Rigon.
thinning the numbers. Scenari finding
Oregon!
the edge of the smoke will wrench one back, and he's still
GG
got
kater
Sydney
vs 3
here.
ju,
This could
först
still
gett
be
mig namn
dangerous.
där.
And I think the T side have
På
just
båda
started to
tid.
realise that as well. They've smelt the rat. 2 players inside of the site, more bodies, more smokes.
Ei
They know
kannat
there's
muutina
presence.
tytoprit.
So they'll leave Synopsy
På
on the
Maltia
lurk and
gärna vill ha äka.
start to put pressure back over towards this A site where Matthew cuts a very isolated figure inside of those apartments. Synopsy is spotted.
Ooh,
That is a
Synopsy.
disgusting one tap. Deals with Sydney. And as Matthew finds one, it will
GG.
bait him out into the
Non
crosshairs of
menia.
the rest. And, well, Groovy's on completely the wrong side to do anything about it. Good deal
Nëndë
was
me
found,
një të
good
ndërruar
enough.
meq.
Bad news
Shkojna për
equals,
16.
as you said, a risky situation, but only for a couple of seconds. They read it well. Their 9th is on the board. And this game, again, slowly but surely starts to feel like it's slipping away from Ungentium.
Sketen dött ta mellan. Po. Nej, en är skämt fort.
Yeah, we keep saying slowly, but I mean, it's not creeping up on us.
Ja,
We've
nej,
seen
en är
this
satt
happen.
top form.
It's like if I ended up 400 pounds, I
Klart,
gotten
och
there
dubblat
gradually
kilo
as
då.
this has gotten pretty bad as well, you know. I'd have had to have kept on eating, and for UNG, things have just kept on going poorly. Not something that can creep up on you.
Ja visst, du är kadik.
Still, it does feel like you should be able to give us a
Som
little
la
bit
vi kan
more. I
launcha
mean, names
till
like Bayali,
Preveta.
Ruby, Matty as well. His stats have been nuts on this
Aj,
team. I was
easy.
expecting a lot more, and maybe he'll hear my call.
Oj,
out now.
knipjat ju
Sometimes
vänner
that's all
bra.
they need. Aid into the
Åh, det går ner på paket och
Not
skobomma.
quite finishing Rigon though.
Har du flättra?
Unfortunately, in one flash, he has the timing.
Skajka
There's
boff,
the smoke somehow survives
flättra.
being traded from the pit as well. Only takes 5 damage. What the hell happened?
It must have been through the wall. That is ridiculous. And he's going to go off the back of that as well. Trying to continue to apply pressure in towards the pit.
Kater vs kater
Hang
igen.
around the edge of
Ama
this
atajan,
smoke. He's
Preveta
got
alla.
half an angle here. Will be tagged down through it. Bialy,
Šujko se ovakeg
a
se
wise
mira puna.
veteran, knows
Se
the
bat mave.
tricks. And the man advantage now here for Ungentium. Something to work with. Rigon finds one, but Bialy again is there for the trade, and he's got support through the arches now. Bomb on the back of Synopsy has gone down. GXX again struggling to rein in the
Tjena
shots.
mojte.
And
Tjena
Ungentium
om du
will
är
have
också
their
över.
second round on the board.
Nej,
CT
morgon
side
är den.
starting to kick into life, but it needs to keep going. I mean, 9-6, bare minimum, right? CT side Inferno, and the money is just going to keep on flowing for B&E.
It's a start again, at least. Last time we seen them with this opportunity, they weren't able to capitalize on it. The economy's actually in a worse position this time around, though. They've at least been able to scrap a bit more throughout the round since then. So if they could win this, one more gun round on top of it, suddenly they have a decent chance of actually coming out with sticks, as you were saying. So see what they can do. Push up Banana Prism with a wild spam back and forth. Eventually comes out with the kill on Synopsy. GXX though very quickly into the apartments there with the off manages to catch Groovy off guard. You don't really expect the T-side upper to be playing that aggressive, so Ruby was just caught with his pants down. Gonna be a quick push on towards A, it looks like, and they're actually gonna try and wrap it. A flash through the long smoke. There's 2 players for 1 plant to deal with. And this time the spray is pretty much perfect. Your prism was low. Snap onto him. They're very, very fast indeed. And well, with only Matty left standing on the bomb site itself on 10 health there, he's gonna be dealt with by the nade. And I mean, if you're Sydney at this point, you're saving surely just so you have the weapon.
Man tog visst med åtsatt schaban. Flik brána, ára brána nie flik koja biljen. Ára najkorban sånt här. I kanske gå på det.
Just trying to hold on inside of this B side, but
Precis,
he's
jag
going
blir
to be
när
hunted
det går
down.
på height.
That's
Ganska
where the
gick
kitchen's
det
seeing 3
mata
players, in
av
fact, Molotovs to try and flush him into the open. Gets the first, perhaps the second as well, and I mean at this point, as you said, the economy's been scrapping. Not sure B&E will necessarily want to commit the AWP into that fight as well, so GXX will just back off to the corner, holds on to that rifle at the very least. Does Sydney, and that will allow him to drop, maybe even drop the AWP across to Matty, and that's exactly what the call is. Not a bad little look for Ungentium. They'll still be able to buy into this one. Sacrifice is made of the MP9s of Gruby and Bialy.
Può pare che non avevamo guardato. L'altra sta qua pare. Perché ti equipa?
On their map pick now. 10-5, maybe Ungentium can dream of a pistol round that starts to drag them back into this series, but needs somebody to start stepping up right on that CT side, because at the moment Ungentium are just going without a whimper.
Bring Sydney down to 52 already. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but considering how the game's going, those little bits of damage are just so uninspiring, and Rigon reads the boost. Matty's head's gone. I don't think even covered. Instead, Prism is hoping for the trade around the edge of the smoke, and Rigon is just going to keep causing havoc on B. A one-tap on Matty as well. Instantly swapped to the knife. He was fully confident that that was going to land. And Nade should maybe even finish Sydney. No, not quite. He gets out a boiler in time, but I know at least one of these players is over towards A. I was gonna say they could run the bomb to B, but it looks like instead they're just gonna wrap in and get those kills for themselves. And it's Rigon looking for the ace. There it is.
Ace Bonnie.
Absolutely nasty.
That was cruel as well. Like, he's killed 3 players on
Ace Rigone.
is open, and B&E are just like, no, we're gonna take these rifles away. We're gonna make this as difficult as possible. And that, yeah. That was kind of tough to watch, not gonna lie. This is feeling really rough for Ungentium. And again, I've not seen the pause yet. I've not seen anything to stop the momentum, right? There's been isolated rounds of CT side, but nothing with any real consistency and nothing to break up what at the moment is a landslide T side for B&E.
Arată Colin Kate. Arată că n-aleau ne poșu me komenturile Barcelona. Damn late med high guard in att vara.
16 and 7 in this second map. He was a little slow in map 1, so perhaps making up for it now as he posts his team's 12th T-side round on Inferno.
Eller kattar runda till det var match. Eller ner runt knäna.
Bad News Eagles. I would say this is on paper probably the easiest of the games in the group, but just to handle it so swiftly is honestly a fantastic way to kick things off. We'll see who they actually play in their next matchup as well, between the winner of Falcons and Ecstatic, where I think they probably will be challenged a bit more at the very least, but I would maybe still put them as the favorite if they play like this.
When it rains, it pours, man. When it rains, it pours. Early 3-on-5. Matthew trying to wrestle back some control of the situation. The problem is, as he gets a kill, immediately Synopsy finds one in response over towards B. And again, just losing numbers. That bomb can head over towards the bomb site quite happily. Matthew's covering half a dozen angles at once. They know where the last man is as well now. And they're going to hunt him again. B&E know they've got this B side. They just want to deny everything, and it's a 13-2 half. B&E dominating.
Damn late med du kryet pjesa bara. Vazhdu na tani me pjesën e dytë. Masit kryet reklamos. A thu, atë kamar mallin I zoj dy bërë mu. A dhua mojmë në dy mu permisu. A zë se di për qa jena I dhnu. Kur sonara tu insistu. A për nëntis. Ja, ola lens, le ujën e cilë. CSGO heq. Zdi me lu. Valorant luj ka një herë, PUBG Mobile. Siamo në për CSGO. Kur sunola tu insistu me të thonë të du. Bes preme, ma u rëzaun edhe smakve, bes preme. Bes preme, preme, ta dhashe të smaktheve. Ta dhashe të më theve, bes preme. Yeah. Tesoli. Para më naon me lujtë CSGO për e të formë me di që muj me i mytë timi kur ta marrë me një gane. Sundol komenti ma herë se posh. Ja valla mu, kone kom lujtë CSGO ma herë dhe s'ma harro kërë. Kështu që jam dërzunat sport e kom lanë. Sot i tu kam bo pa mu a i ken gje. Ka thonë ki me x ki me nej. Po ti ku je? Pa e hojna copyright. Copyright us anfire. Kështu që s'pa rrezikojnë as edhe pak kryet. Edhe një 4 runda. A e keni bo like e subscribe, 158 like, su do per puna. 1807 suba, su do per puna, ta shkojna për 1900. Sheni kam pa copyright, pa s'ka, pa copyright, ku me gjithë? 200 njerës kanë tash 44. Shkun me hangër bëk, e dhon jam këtu. Dua bëk. Ku janë drejta tu, na? Ku shkun mëre? Këzar kanë menu që u kry loja. U e gjemot ka dalin se u kryja lau.
Doesn't feel like it's going to be going for too much longer, but Ungentium may be an opportunity to surprise us here. Pistol absolutely necessary and a lot more needed from there on in, Dean.
Yeah, we thought Ancient was rough. It's only gotten worse really as we came onto Inferno here.
Szebb a rosnajka.
The opportunity at least to set the pace here now on the T side. One Flatro looking for that early aggression up into the apartments. I thought he might have just jumped for the info instead, wanting the full-on fight. Already pinked down incredibly low. Somehow I was going to say surviving a lot longer than I'd expect. But he's been dealt with an opening kill. No damage really sustained either for UNG, so a nice opportunity to hopefully go towards a pistol round win.
Much needed opening kill, man advantage for the first time in a while, make it 2 as Groovy doubles his account and GXX, an isolated fight leads to the 1-for-1 and this is more like it in Ungentium.
Švašiet rundine par, efitoin. Ta.
1v3 to follow and already being hunted down by the likes of Bialy. Won't expect him to be so close to the angle, and Ungentium, they take the much needed pistol a start. They need so much more.
Naš tady na force. Ja, se zdojnam rizikuješ full lag.
Another round before things start to get ugly again and start to show us what their T side's really made of.
Yeah, maybe they're really good on the T side. As we had said, although they don't play this map often, they haven't played it in quite a while. Their most recent game 2 months back was against K23 and they only lost that 14-16, so clearly there was something they had there on Inferno, just didn't really bother going back to it, but I do believe it was their T side where they found most of their success as well with a 10-5 half. So maybe there is some hope to be had. Out in some pistols bought for BNE, they definitely want to force the issue. A scenario Prism deep in on Banana. They don't realize this player is close, but a 1-for-1 trade will be plenty. That is worthwhile. They get a weapon out of it. It's a Galil. They had also taken the advantage already at the bottom of
med full lag in att vi tog Kater Sedena. Wow, Sedena, I kan ju inte. Nej, kan han nästan pull. GG, morgon
This shouldn't be allowed to happen. This all starts because they get a P250 kill.
Grubi i vet mål. Jag köper lite med bakgrunna i sen Katar Kila i kapos. Talloja.
The butterfly effect unravels it into this, a 1v4 attempt for Groovy gets the first. Synopti next
up. Full lag och efter ronden att Atashan full lag och pass might med GG.
That was the round that Ungentium just should have been taken, right? It should have been clean. They give isolated picks up across the map, rifles as you said recoverable, and from there it all just spirals out of control. Leaves Ungentium with Deagles, a full rifle buy from B&E, and well, that CT side just 2 rounds away from finishing it clean.
Pass might 3 under war match. Yeah, Josh might
back by UNG this time, unfortunately. Won't be the end of their season or anything, but it's certainly not the start that they were hoping for. On the other hand, rather, B&E couldn't have asked for a stronger way to come out in this season. Really even a fight being put up across 2 maps from UNG. And Kevlar fully invested into here as well, so the investment pretty much as good as it's going to get within these last 2 rounds. Maybe they'll have a few more nades in the following, but I don't think it's going to do them much good as Groovy's left alone. Just down Banana, piece down mid as well.
That's my
0 F's given basically at this point from B&E. As things kind of started going on at Ancient as well, we started seeing them going for risky plays and just not really caring anymore. And with how skilled they are, it works in games like this.
B&E get, as you said, almost into that flow state, right, where nothing is going wrong for them. How do you reasonably stop it? And Ungentium, I think, as we pointed out in the pre-game, maybe lacking firepower a little bit. I think certainly
Josh might counter mot par. Josh might try.
When things really start to unravel and you need someone to, wrestle control of a round of a map back. Just hasn't felt like they've had those pieces now, and as you said, the disrespect continuing. 3 quick kills. They're looking to get this one done swiftly. One Flatro in with 1 more, and well, it's stat padding at this point. One Flatro will take it 22 and 6, and it will be B&E who take it 2-0. I think probably the most dominant game we've seen in 2-3 seasons of Challenger League. A really comprehensive performance from B&E. And I think it's one that they would have wanted to be putting out, right? Obviously, ended up in relegation last season, really on and off with their form. We saw so much from them at the major, then they went away and things got a little all over the shop. There was good and there was bad and it didn't really click. So, they're eyeing up they've got to be eyeing up Pro League, going up for that again, having a real crack at that this season, and to put this kind of a statement out there very early on, to hit the ground running in that kind of style very early on, it's only going to build confidence.
Yeah, it's a fantastic start, but you've got to remember there is only actually that one spot at conference on the line, so it's not like it's going to be easy. I would say UNG is definitely going to be one of the easiest games that they'll have. I mean, already just with only the 2 teams that we have confirmed in playoffs being 1 win and 4s, both of those matchups would definitely be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way, there is always going to be competition, right, for those conference slots to try and get through the system, but I think for me, it's a nice confidence booster. I mean, I was looking through some of the sort of previous results for B&E, you know, losing to the likes of Enterprise, Masonic, Force, Heat, and I was looking through that and I was seeing those sort of telltale signs again of, you know, they can have a map, but can they have a series? Can they pop off consistently? And I think it's a really nice marker to be able to put down to go through that kind of result, to get it this cleanly. There's obviously a few small things to clean up. I mean, those 2, I think 2 of the 4 rounds
12-0 dhe me thonë 16-4 pjesë loja parë mapa parë, 6-3 mapa dytë edhe GG po. Kështu që ore moj veç mi ju përshëndet, mi ju thonë natën e mirë, gjumin amë që jinsen me ta.
It's honestly one of those series where you wipe the slate clean, right? I don't think, honestly, I don't think you even go and look at this demo afterwards, because
gjumin e amal, fshimi në lojën tjetër. Kaloni sa më bukur, po që keni, inshallah po fitona Barcelona.
Okay, you know, how were we getting read? How was the aggression coming back to bite us? What